Hi everyone, welcome. In this video, we're going to be discussing how you can configure your Python environment correctly for the rest of the class, because obviously we need to do this first before we can actually do any real coding. The first thing you want to do is install Anaconda Individual Edition. You can install it by heading to this link here. What Anaconda is going to do is install a whole bunch of applications and packages that we're going to use throughout the class. So importantly, it's going to install Python, but it's also going to install other useful things as well, like Pandas and Jupyter Notebook, which we'll use very heavily throughout the class. Once you've installed Anaconda, you can start playing around in Jupyter Notebook. And the first thing to do is just try to run a Jupyter Notebook instance. If you want to figure out how to do that, you can head to this link, but I've just screenshotted the most important information from that link here. There are a few ways you can open Jupyter Notebook, and it's going to be slightly different if you're on, say, a Windows or a Mac. If you're on a Mac, it's pretty simple. You just open up Terminal on your computer, the Terminal application, and type in Jupyter space Notebook. If you're on a Windows, there are a couple ways you could do it. You could head to the Start menu and type in Jupyter Notebook and find actually the Jupyter Notebook application. You see an icon that says Jupyter, and you should click that, and that's going to start Jupyter Notebook. I think I would recommend this way. I've seen some issues with the other way, and so the other way is actually to open up Command on Windows and then type in Jupyter Notebook. So Command is trying to be like Terminal on a Mac, and so just open that up and type in Jupyter Notebook, and that should launch the notebook. This way is supposed to work, but I've seen some issues on it on other Windows computers, so maybe start with the Start menu option first, and if that doesn't work, maybe you can try Command. So once you launch Jupyter Notebook, you're going to get a screen that looks like this. This is how you'll interact with Jupyter. It's the Jupyter Notebook interface, user interface. And just as a note, after you open this up, some people close the original terminal from which they open Jupyter. Don't do that. If you do that, it's going to crash Jupyter. And even if you opened Jupyter using the Start menu in Windows, it's actually first going to open up something in Command, I think, that then launches Jupyter. So don't close that Command window. Command window is going to have a bunch of lines of code written underneath. Just make sure you keep that open the whole time you want to use Jupyter. So this interface that you see is basically, it's a directory structure, and it's going to show the folders and files on your computer, and you can click into them and you can see what's there. So here I have a Jupyter Notebook file, and so all Jupyter Notebook files are going to have this IPYNB extension. Don't try to open a file in Jupyter that doesn't have this extension. And so if you want to open a file in Jupyter, all you have to do is click into it, and that's going to open it up. And this is one of our sample files, and you can run the code and play with it later when we get to that point. But for now, I just want to show some other more basic functionality. So if I want to go up in the directory, I can click here, and it takes me to the higher level folder. One of the things that you might do pretty often in Jupyter is actually just create a new file. So you might do this if, for instance, you're doing some research, or maybe you're doing one of the homeworks. And so the way to do that is to click up here in New, and then under Notebook, hit Python 3, and that's going to create a brand new Jupyter Notebook for you. Once we've created this file, one of the first things to do is actually to name it. So you can see that it has this very useless name, Untitled. So let's make a much more useful name, say Test Notebook, and click Rename, and there you go, renamed it. So how Jupyter is set up is that it has these cells. And here I just have one, but you can have a lot of cells. And what you can do in a cell is write a little code snippet like this, and then maybe like print out x plus 2. And then the nice thing about cells is you could run them, and you could get the output like right below it pretty quickly. So the way to run a cell is you could manually like kind of go up here and hit the play button, but if you're running lots of cells, that gets very tiring to do. So you should definitely use the shortcut, which is Shift plus Enter after you've clicked into it. So you know you've clicked into this cell because it turns green. Once you've done that, press Shift and then Enter, and it runs the cell. You can see that Jupyter actually automatically puts you in a new cell after you've run it, so you could immediately start typing in new code. You'll also notice that this box changed to 1, so that means that you've actually successfully run the cell, and it's signifying that it's the first cell you've run in this iteration of the Jupyter Notebook. So this cell, for instance, is empty because we haven't run it. But if we do, you'll see that it changes to a 2. It also spits out the output right below. So these are the basic, this is how you're going to interact with Jupyter Notebook with these cells, and running a lot of them in sequence to test out a lot of different code examples. If you wanted to, maybe you were here and you wanted to like explore this code a little bit more, so you wanted to maybe add a cell below it so that you could explore the top code a bit more, you might, the way to do that is to just go up here and click this plus button. That's going to say, give you a new cell right below it, and you could kind of like do another operation and say x plus 4. What's that? It's actually 6. Another thing you can notice is that these variables, they carry forward to the next cell. So all the information in one cell actually carries forward to the next cells. Let's say we're maybe done with this cell. This was some test code and we want to get rid of it. The way to do that is to click these scissors up here. That's just going to cut out the cell. If you wanted to reorder cells, you could also do that. So maybe I actually want to put this at the bottom. If I wanted to do that, you can use these arrows. So all right, there we go. And it's going to shift it up or down. You could use the plus arrows to shift it up. And then the final thing you might want to do is just reset the entire state of the notebook. So here, in this notebook right now, it thinks x is 2 because we've set it that way up here. Maybe we just want to like have a fresh start and restart all the variables so we could run the code straight through from the beginning. If you wanted to do that, you could go to kernel, restart, and clear output. And what it's going to do is it's gonna see all the cells now changed empty, which means they haven't been run. All the output disappeared, and now you could kind of go through and rerun the code from a clean slate. So I could press Shift Enter here again, and you'll go through it. And that should be enough to get you started. There's a lot more obviously that you could do in Jupyter, but those are probably the most important things you'll use. And I'm going to, this Word document will be uploaded to the course site, so you should be able to download it and refer back to it if you have any issues installing or using any of this stuff. So with that being said, that's the end of this video, and see you all in the next class.